Hi, my name is Brian, and this is my husband, Alfonso.
My name is Alfonso. I came from Mexico when I was 14 years old. I've been living in the Bay Area for 21 years.
We met 10 years ago on Halloween night at the big party in the Castro in San Francisco. I think it was in 2008 when California started offering marriage to same-sex couples that we went to an immigration attorney to see if it would be okay for us to get married or not. And she said that it would probably not be a good idea. Even though Alfonso and his family had started their immigration process a long time ago, that somehow through the method by which he was petitioned for, he was sort of left behind and wasn't able to get his green card right away. And she basically told me there's nothing that we could do because a gay U.S. citizen isn't allowed to petition for their same-sex spouse. So there's a huge roadblock there because of DOMA. We looked at all other options and it turned out that there sort of were no other options available to us. So she told us the best thing we could do is wait for the world to change. Watch the DREAM Act and watch the Respect for Marriage Act and hope that immigration reform comes and hopefully something will come in time to save your relationship. And it really changed our outlook and conversations on life in things like, will we be adopting or not adopting, or will we be buying a house or not buying a house? Because it's when you have the fear of your husband being taken away from you, it's hard to commit to long-term life goals like that.
When my mom brought me over when I was 14 years old, she brought me here because she wanted to better myself, to have a better life. And then now here I am in this situation where I'm committed to my husband Brian, and then I can't do the same thing for myself to give a children the same life that my parents wanted for me when I was a kid.
Last summer, the people at the Department of Homeland Security picked up Alfonso and took him away for 3 weeks.
They took me to Arizona. Basically all my rights was taken away from me. I was in this huge facility with thousands of people, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't know nobody here. You don't know what anybody's intentions might be. So I couldn't go to sleep for the first week. I was so afraid. I was so scared.
It's extremely painful to think about what would happen if they do decide to deport him.
I don't even know where to start or where to begin. I'm like, if I go there, who am I going to stay with? I'm like, who am I going to call family? I mean, technically all my family's been here all my life.
When I finally got him back, we decided that we had to fight now. And we couldn't flee, so now was the time to fight.
It was one of the hardest things that I ever went through, and it still is. I mean, I haven't really talked about this. What's so hard about letting two humans love each other? I'm I don't think I'm committing a crime by loving my husband. This is the person that I want to be for the rest of my life, and it's the government decided to take me away from him. I don't even know what to do. It's been so hard. So hard, and I know that there's a lot of people out there who are still in the same situation as me. That we're helpless. We're helpless because the government doesn't recognize our marriage. It's time for them to put a stop to it and then let us live our life how we wanted to.
Henry Velandia left Venezuela almost a decade ago to pursue a dancing career. But this 27-year-old salsa dancer says he found a lot more than that.
Finding my passion, which is dance, finding, who I am, and then finding my other half.
That other half is American Josh Vandiver, a professor at Princeton University in New Jersey.
I knew that I was in love with him very quickly.
The couple resides in New Jersey, a state that allows civil unions. But they wanted to be married, so they tied the knot in Connecticut less than a year ago. Although legally married in one of the 6 states in the Union where same-sex marriages are legal, the couple faced a major hurdle. In 2009, with the support of a sponsor, Velandia applied for a green card after his student visa had expired. But instead of granting him legal residency, immigration authorities started a deportation process.
And the reason the federal government wasn't recognizing our marriage fully was the Defense of Marriage Act.
Known as DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act was signed into law in 1996, and it only recognizes marriage as the union between a man and a woman. U.S. President Barack Obama has repeatedly said that he does not support DOMA, but federal agencies continue to enforce it. With the help of immigration lawyers, Velandia and Vandiver started an uphill battle to stay together. And in an unexpected twist, federal authorities dropped Velandia's deportation proceeding.
We had this enormous burden hanging over us that my husband of less than a year could be taken away from me and our marriage torn apart. Now we're celebrating that we will get to be together here in this country indefinitely.
You know, we're so thankful and happy that I keep my marriage together because, you know, it's still my deportation.
This decision coincided with a recent memo from Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement John Morton, reminding staff to use prosecutorial discretion in certain cases. Velandia could set a precedent for thousands of same-sex couples. A study from UCLA estimates that about 36,000 couples made up of one U.S. citizen and one non-U.S. citizen live here in the U.S. Activist groups in favor of same-sex marriage believe the number could be higher. Although Velandia did not obtain legal residency, he says he has gained time to keep fighting for his cause.
Well, being advocates for what we believe is right, and it's our love, really.
Every day in this country, thousands of legally married lesbian and gay couples like Jackie and Gloria fight for something most of us take for granted, the simple right to be together. Because of the Defense of Marriage Act, the federal government refuses to recognize, respect, or honor their marriages for all legal purposes, including immigration. On April 4th, Jackie and Gloria traveled to Boston to witness history. Sitting in a courtroom audience, they listened as judges and attorneys debated whether the Constitution guarantees their right to be treated equally as a married couple. Less than 60 days later, the First Circuit Court of Appeals became the first appellate court in the United States to strike down DOMA. Yet for Jackie and Gloria, nothing's changed, and they don't have the luxury of waiting until the ultimate fate of DOMA is decided. Looking at these two young women, so full of love for each other and wanting nothing more than to build a future together, we cannot allow this cruel and discriminatory law to tear them apart.
French national Frédéric de Loisy says he has a typical American life. He routinely greets his 4 kids at the school bus, then goes home to his husband, Mark Himes.
I feel more American than French. I love the history, I love the people. There's something which attracts me.
But the United States government doesn't see it that way. They allow U.S. citizens to sponsor their spouses for visas, but don't recognize marriages between people of the same sex.
If I were a woman marrying a man, we wouldn't be in this situation. This would have been resolved years ago.
Frederick's final visa expired in September. After 22 years in the U.S., he faces possible deportation.
We'll go through it, but it affects so many people, and it's every day. It's a daily fight. It's uncertainty of the future, not knowing where we're going, how to build a future. How do I protect my kids? How can I build on the rock and make sure that my kids have a stable family, a stable environment?
Frederick and Mark adopted their 4 children together and were married in the state of California, where gay marriage was recognized at the time. But the Defense of Marriage Act prevents the federal government from recognizing marriages between people of the same sex.
What it says principally is that the federal government cannot recognize the legal marriages of gay and lesbian couples. As a result, issues like immigration can't be resolved. Your marriages don't count for immigration purposes, therefore an American citizen cannot obtain a green card for his husband.
Mark has lived his entire life in the suburbs of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Why should I have to leave my country and all my family and all my friends that I've known for 43 years just because the government doesn't recognize our relationship?
Last year, the Department of Homeland Security gave immigration authorities the discretion to stay deportations based on, quote, the person's ties and contributions to the community, including family relationships. Frederick says no government will divide their family.
our children come first. We are a real family and we have to stay together no matter what. So if the government doesn't want me, unfortunately, we have to expatriate and find a country.
After a hearing this week, the couple awaits a decision on whether Frederick can remain with his family in the place they call home. Susan Candiotti, CNN, New York.